Hi there, it's Casey. I'm the owner and artist at Yaya Made Galveston. And welcome to my Facebook Live on this Wednesday and 3 o'clock. We're on time today. Today we're going to do something that I think everybody can benefit from. This is at a request of my youngest stepdaughter, Mindy. She's not a regular sewist. She has a sewing machine that she uses very seldom for mending. As a matter of it had been in her garage and she got it out and she said, I'm gonna sew, but I never can remember how to thread the machine. So I thought, well, okay, we can talk about threading the machine. They're all different. So I thought, let's carry it a little further and let's talk about what to do when you buy a new machine, whether you get it at a thrift store or buy it brand new from Amazon or your dealer. I buy from a dealer because I get free service for so many years when I buy from a dealer. And but there's some things that you need to do when you get it home. You're going to take it out of the box, and there's going to be the machine and then a little box with accessories, and then there's your instruction manual, your instruction book. First thing you need to do once you get your machine set up, well, get your machine and put where you're going to put it, and then get your instruction book, and it's going to tell you how to set it up. Some of it's pretty basic. If you've been a sewist for a long time, you're going to think, I don't need to do that, but it doesn't hurt. So I recommend it. It'll show you how to plug the electrical cord in and how to plug the foot in. Sometimes it's one plug that controls both of them. Sometimes they're separate plugs. On this one, I'm going to show you on my backup machine, because it's a little more basic than the other one. But it is a computerized machine, so it's going to be a lot different than if you have a manual machine. And by manual, I mean it's not computerized. You have dials instead of buttons. And they also, well, it's just your preference. So get your manual out and get your machine hooked up, get the pedal on, get the electrical cord in, and when you're satisfied that that's done properly, then plug that machine in and turn on the switch. And then refer back to your manual, because you're going to have to thread the thing before you can sew. And that's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to show you how this one works. And there are, the basic premise for threading is pretty much the same on most of the machines, I believe. There are some that have different threading for regular thread and for heavy-duty threads. Some of the industrial or semi-industrial machines, like the HD9, the Janome HD9. I haven't conquered that one yet. I haven't gotten the guts to get that one yet, but I'm thinking about it. And so just go to your manual, and it's going to tell you how to thread your machine. Now, on some of the newer machines, this one I've had since the 90s, so I've had it a little while, and it has numbers on it, so you know where to start and where the next place is to take your thread. And but if you don't have that on your machine, if you don't have the numbers to tell you, go here next, you can add that with a Sharpie. most of the machines have a plastic outer covering. You can write that with a Sharpie and leave it, or you can move it once you're threaded it several times and you're confident in that, and you can wipe that off. You can use fingernail polish remover or WD-40 or Goo Gone or anything like that, and that'll take the writing off if you don't want to keep it there. But that will help you. Now on this machine, you're on a tripod today, and I've got it tight so you won't fall off, but I do have the rubber bands on there as a backup. After I've dropped you that one time, I'm being really careful. So anyway, I'm going to turn the camera around. Hi, Patricia. Hi, Kim. And I'm going to give it a shot. Hopefully you can see. We're configured a little different. I've looked at my manual. I told you first, look at your manual. It'll tell you how to set it up. So let me turn you around here and see if you can see. We have a sunny day, so you're going to have that light to deal with behind the machine. There's the thread, and it's coming off here. Now on mine, I have a little doodad here that the thread passes through first. And then number 1, which with an arrow, that's what my machine gives me. And it's to go down this groove here. Most of your machines will be set up pretty much the same. I have automatic tension, so I don't have to deal with that. And then it tells me here's 2, and there's an arrow going up here. And then there's the catch here and it brings it through. There's a little, this is the thing that's connected to the foot, and it goes up and down when the foot does. And it has a little spring that the thread passes through until it gets to the hole. And then I have an arrow to go down here again. And then it says 4. Now you can't see 4, so I'm going to open this so you can see it. There's a little hook right here that the thread goes behind. And there's some lint. And then on almost every machine, there's going to be another hook just above the needle. That's real important. Don't miss that one. And so now we're ready to thread it. Yeah, you can see that. Here's the thread. Now we're ready to thread it. I have a needle threader, but it's not working on this machine. So I take my trusty tweezers and I thread my needle with the tweezers. Of course, it's not going to work now. There we go. So it's threaded. Now your bobbin. Look in your manual, look in your instruction book. My bobbin's on top. A lot of them will be in a bobbin case that you pinch and put on the side of your machine. Mine has the top loading bobbin. Hi, Bobby. That's my handsome son-in-law. And so you're going to drop your bobbin in. The machine will tell you what direction your thread needs to be going in. And the top of my bobbin case shows me the direction that the thread needs to be going in. So I drop my bobbin in with my thread going in the correct direction. There's a little hook that the thread catches on, and then I'll just leave a tail and put my lid back on. Then we're ready to catch the bobbin thread. Now on my machine, I have a needle up and down button that I can push, and the needle goes up and the needle goes down. If you don't have that, you'll turn your hand wheel so the needle goes up and down. So what you do is you hold on to your needle thread just slightly, not tight, just slightly, and then you do your needle up, do your needle down, and then needle back up, and then pull that top thread, and with your handy tweezers, slide it under there and catch hold of your bobbin thread. So now you have both threads on top, and that's what you want. Now you're ready to sew. And so I have dark thread in here. You double your fabric over. And I had the foot, but I had the foot not where I could use it. All right, now we're ready to go. You put your fabric under there, lower your presser foot, and you're ready to sew. Always hold your tail, your thread tails, when you start to sew. And we're just doing a regular straight stitch. Raise your presser foot. And then most machines nowadays have a thread cutter, so you can cut the thread just like that. And it's kind of hard to see. That light is challenging. And that's how you do it. That's how you thread your machine the first time. Now, you want to put a different color thread in. What do? Do you jerk this off and rip it out of here? I wouldn't do that, especially if you have a computerized machine. You are supposed to cut your thread up here and then pull it out this way so it doesn't upset your thread, your tension. You have automatic tension, you have computerized settings, and so you bring your thread out this way and then put in your new thread and thread it again. Follow your numbers. Some of your older machines will have, you'll have dials here for stitch length and stitch width if you have zigzag feature. And then you'll have a tension dial here that your thread will go up in. Just when you do that, hold your thread a little taut when you catch it in there, and you'll hear a little click. You want to hear the click so you know that it's in the tension guide correctly. So that's how you thread your new machine. What I would also do if you had a new machine that had lots of different kind of stitches, decorative stitches. What did I do with that? I just had it. Ah, here it is. Okay, is I just take several pieces of white. Let me turn you around, you can see me. Of white fabric, and I stitch out all my stitches. And I didn't do it on this one. This is from my other machine, but I'll stitch out and I'll write, after I finish stitching, the number of the stitch. And I stitch a little bit, and then I'll switch to another one. And when I finish that, I'll write the number of the stitch. Just use an ink pen. And then when you want to do some decorative stitching, the book will have pictures of those stitches. Well, this one doesn't. But I have on the top of the machine here, I have a little guide that tells me the number of the stitches and what they look like. But you can't tell a whole lot about those. So I stitch my stitches out, and then I put the number of the stitches on the sheet next to the stitch. So I can go to this and see which ones I like and which ones I want to use. And I can use that as my guide rather than what's on my machine, because it's tiny print and it's hard to really tell what it looks like. So that's just a little hint. Then after you finished a project, it's recommended by most machines that after you finish a project that you should clean your machine. Oh my goodness, how do you do that? Do you use that power air? No. Every service person I have ever talked to or expert about sewing machines has said don't use the canned air, because if there's some that doesn't go out of the machine, it goes into places inside the machine and can cause problems later. So don't use that. If you have a vacuum that's has an attachment so you can vacuum, like your computer, they have little vacuum attachments and vacuums and things set up so you can use that. But the best thing to do is use the tools that you're given. Let me turn you back around. And on this machine, it gives me a little brush. It just gives me a little brush. And I go in and I take my bobbin out. And my bobbin, and you just brush around the bobbin and the lint will attach itself to the brush, and just brush and take it off and brush and just lightly. And when I don't do it like I'm supposed to and clean after each and every project, and I bet a bunch of us don't do that, and I wait maybe after 2 or 3 projects, and when I open that up, I go, oh my goodness, there's an awful lot of lint in there. And sometimes it'll affect the way your machine sews. You'll get skipped stitches and crazy things will happen. And so that's a good time to go and clean your machine, because it could be the lint. It gets on things, especially computerized machines, and they can't get the message like it's supposed to different parts of the machine. So clean out your machine. And when I do the big clean, then I take the plate off the machine on, let's see if we can, down here, the plate, I can take that off. This one I have to use a screwdriver to take off. My other one just, I have a switch on it and it pops it up. And I take that plate off, and then the bobbin case comes out when you take the plate off. Or you're able to take the bobbin case out. It doesn't pop out too. But then you can get your brush further into the machine and get more of the lint out. And then your machine should sew better. If you're sewing and you start getting skipped stitches and stuff, and it's been a while, change your needle. Needles are easy to change. Here's my needle. Let me lower this so you can see better. Right here is a screw. Right here. Hope you can see that. And it's just a little screw that you can turn by hand. And you loosen that and the needle will come out. And then put another needle in there. And tighten that. Just tighten it. Don't tighten it so very tight that it's hard to undo. And so you change your needle when you start getting skip stitches. You'll change your needle for different types of fabrics. If you're doing a knit, there's a needles especially for knit fabrics, and ballpoint needles. So it'll go through the threads instead of piercing the fabric for stretch items. And then if you're working on heavy material like denim, then you'll use a bigger size needle. 11-12 is standard, and you'll use a 14 or a 16 for thicker threads. And then when you have silky materials, they have needles. They have all kinds of needles. They have needles that you use with metallic threads and all kinds. I put a link in yesterday that someone had posted in another group that I'm in, and it's about needles to use, what size needles to use, what type of needles to use for different things. And that's a pretty good reference for you as far as needles are concerned. So I'm not going to go into any more real detail. Your best friend is going to be your instruction book. I know some of you think I don't need no instruction book, but you do. And it's got troubleshooting things and how to use your buttonholer. Most of the machines today have a way to make buttonholes that make it easy in one step. And it tells you basic sewing on heavy fabrics, quilting with a walking foot. Oh, walking foot. You know, I had never used one until I got my latest machine. And, oh man, those things are great. Use a walking foot when, if you've ever sewed and your top fabric kind of puckered, especially if you if you're quilting and you've got stuff sandwiched in between, and sometimes stretch fabrics do that. We use a walking foot and it helps your fabric feed on top as well as it at the same rate as it does on the bottom with your feed dogs. So anyway, use your instruction book. It's got a myriad of information and always a troubleshooting section. So if you're having problems, it'll tell you how to fix it. And I think that's all I have for you today. Thank you for watching. I would ask you to like my Facebook page and like and share and comment on this video. And check out my Etsy store, Yaya Made Galveston, all one word, .com, .etsy.com, YayaMadeGalveston.etsy.com, where I have handbags and patterns and some other fun things. Something you may find something you can't live without. And if not you, tell your friends. And I'll see you next week. Bye.